ES6 introduces several really cool enhancements to objects in JavaScript. We'll start with shorthand property names. In ES6, if you're building an object and you have a variable with the same name as the property you want to assign, you can omit the duplicate declaration within the object literal. For instance, let's say we want to build a person object that has a name property and an age property. And let's say we've defined both a name and an age variable at some point previously in our code. If we print this out, we can see this works just fine. But it can be optimized. Instead of doing this in our object, which would be redundant, we're now able to simply do this. Since the properties name and age are the exact same names of the variables we're setting them to, we can simply pass them along just like that. Pretty cool, right? Next up, we have computed property names. Property names in object literals can now be computed using square brackets, enabling dynamic property assignment. So, for example, imagine behind the scenes there was some logic that ran that eventually defined a variable called property name with a value of age. Well, we can use that variable in a person object that now includes a dynamic property, noted by the square brackets, leveraging the value of the property name variable as the property value itself. If we log this out, we can see that we now have an age property in our person object. If we were to change age to something else, say subscribers, we get the same result. The person object now has a property of subscribers. Last but not least, we have shorthand method names, more commonly known as concise methods. If your object has a property that's a method, you're no longer forced to supply the function keyword. Let's look at an example. We'll set up another person object, and this time it'll have a name property and a greet property. Greet in this case will be a method that when called logs hello and the person's name. Normally, we'd have to write our greet property using the function keyword like this. And yes, this approach still works. Get hello John. However, with ES6, even if we remove that function keyword, the greet method still works as expected. Another crucial aspect of concise methods is the implicit binding of the this object. In JavaScript, the this object refers to the current context that you're in. When using concise methods, this automatically refers to the object itself, providing convenient access to its properties and methods. So if we were to remove the name variable here and change the reference in our console log to this.name, we can see it still works as expected. The last important perk concise methods gives us is access to the parent methods using the super keyword. In JavaScript, when dealing with inheritance, you may need to access methods or properties defined in a parent object. The super keyword allows you to do exactly that. Within an object's method, super refers to the object's prototype, enabling you to call methods defined in the parent object. So let's say we had an object, let's call it parent, and this object has a single property which is a concise method named greet. And greet simply returns the string goodbye. Now, let's say we have a second object called child, and this object's prototype is the parent object we just defined. We can set this using JavaScript's object.setPrototypeOf method. As a result of this, the child object now inherits methods from its prototype, the parent object. For us, that would be the parent's greet method. So let's update our object to include its own greet method, but we'll use the super keyword to call the parent greet method as well. We'll use backticks. We'll add our string literal there for the super.greet method, and then we'll say whatever that text is, comma, world. All right, so in this case, goodbye world is what we expect to see. And if we were to change this to, let's say, hello world, see, that works as well. And that's going to do it for ES6 object enhancements. These enhancements simplify object creation and manipulation, resulting in cleaner and more readable code. Enhanced object literals are widely supported in modern JavaScript environments, offering developers a much more efficient way to work with objects within their applications.